New tropical threat for the US East Coast. First update on newly designated potential tropical cyclone number 16 in the Atlantic. It's at 28.7 north, 75.9 degrees west. Center is currently just to the northeast of the northernmost Bahamas, well off to the east of Florida. As of 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this September 21st, it had winds of 35 miles per hour with an estimated pressure of 10-12 millibars, moving just slightly east of north at 9 miles per hour or 15 kilometers per hour. So this general movement in a generally northerly trend will continue for some time as it gets very close and then reaches the coast of the United States near the Outer Banks. As of right now, here's its location displayed on the map. No wind field at this time because it isn't displaying gale force winds, but that is likely to change in the next 24 to 48 hours. There are tropical storm warnings in effect for Cape Fear, North Carolina to Fenwick Island, Delaware, and the Chesapeake Bay south of Smith Point. And tropical storm warnings also in effect for the Albemarle and Pamlico Sounds. There is also a storm surge watch for similar locations there. It is currently 452 kilometers from Cape Canaveral, Florida, 625 from Myrtle Beach, 638 from Wilmington, 826 from Raleigh, and 905 from Norfolk, Virginia. Whether it becomes a tropical or subtropical storm will be probably the biggest area of discussion right now, but the primary hazard is going to be a substantial storm surge which is possible. We expect up to 2 to 4 feet right now, and that's probably going to be a higher risk factor than anything else with this storm. No hurricane conditions expected, for instance, and we're expecting maybe 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, so I would say storm surge and rip currents will be the largest hazard from this storm at the moment. Over the next 5 days, or maybe a little bit more, this is the expected forecast track, blowing up a large wind field initially in the northeastern quadrant and then expanding a little bit around all quadrants by the time we get to the weekend, making a landfall and then sweeping through that mid-Atlantic region, swiping off just south of Long Island and becoming a depression or eventually a remnant low by the time we get to the early part of next week. By midweek it will be completely gone and erased off the coast of probably off Cape Cod by that point. There's the National Hurricane Center's forecast cone on the top left hand side there. They are expecting a fully tropical storm before it makes landfall at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning on that cone there. So early hours of Saturday probably. Of course that could still change, a little bit of wiggle room there, less than 48 hours until that happens. Good agreement with the current wind speed of the storm right now, although ASCAT are just on their way and may get a new pass shortly. Peak storm surge estimates 2 to 4 feet in those yellow shaded areas from Surf City, North Carolina, northwards to the southern area there of the Delmarva Peninsula and across the lower Chesapeake Bay. This is the GFS forecast model showing the forecast there over the next few days as well, quite similar to what the National Hurricane Center was depicting there, but still big question mark over whether it does get to subtropical or tropical status. They are still giving it only a 60% chance of development, which still means 40% chance that it doesn't become a nameable storm. But nonetheless, I think those winds and the potential storm surge impacts there are pretty locked in at this point, as well as those locally significant rainfall values. This is the expected, simulated radar imagery there of the storm moving through. Gives you a good idea of the structure of it. Some of it blows away off to the east there and it becomes two separate little areas, but the main bulk of the storm will be sweeping through that whole eastern coast there. Significant areas could get up and above those 2-inch rainfall amounts and up towards 4 inches over large parts of mainly coastal regions of Virginia, moving up through the Delmarva Peninsula, Maryland, and possibly towards Washington DC, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and of course into New York and Long Island. Looking at the total rainfall expectations, we can give you a little bit of an idea where exactly those highest rainfall amounts might be. This again is just from the GFS model. Other models will be showing slightly different amounts, but this is what we're showing right now, with the highest amounts occurring just along the near the landfall zone sort of towards eastern North Carolina there, possibly localized amounts up to 6 inches, and also further north there through Virginia, getting up towards 6 inches there, not far from Norfolk as well by the look of that imagery there, and into New Jersey as well, getting up towards 2 inches, southern Pennsylvania, Washington DC, similar amounts, and extending further west into West Virginia as well. Sea surface temperatures still looking fairly good around this. It will obviously enter the very warm Gulf Stream as well before it reaches the Outer Banks, and so those temperatures, you know what, they're a little bit cooler than what I was expecting, but we're still looking at 26 to 27 degrees Celsius, quite commonplace there as it approaches land. But interestingly, the models aren't sure whether it will manage to clinch that tropical status or not. On those temperatures alone, I think it probably will. And that, of course, is a view shared by the National Hurricane Center at this point. And taking a look at the satellite imagery of this potential tropical cyclone, it's certainly not there yet when we look at it. It's very disheveled in its appearance, lopsided on that eastern side, you use many words for it. A big fleet of dry air sweeping in there as well, which we'll have to deal with. It does have a center of circulation that we saw in the opening titles, low level circulation that is. A very small one, just a little spinny thing in the exposed area, far away from the convection in that little pocket southwest of that significant line of showers. I've just marked it there as well, so that shows you where that center is at this point. But certainly this system already starting to produce a little bit of rainfall along the coast, and maybe a little bit more than just a small amount right now as we switch to the radar just towards the end of this here, and you can take a look along the coast of the Carolinas there, getting some significant rainfall in a few spots, possibly close to Myrtle Beach.